Alrighty, y'all, so welcome back to another video. These are a pair of those on clouds. If you watched the video when I was at Goodwill, it's probably been about a month now. I found 4 pair of on clouds, and these are the last pair. I picked them all up for I think 10 bucks a piece. They've all been selling right between 50 and 60 bucks. These sold for 55 plus shipping. So got another Buc-ee's item for ya. This one has the camo print on the back. It just basically says always in season. And this has been a bestseller. Again, like I said in some videos prior, this don't sell for a ton of money, but it usually sells pretty quick. And you can usually find this down at the bins. And maybe there's some people picking up Buc-ee's, because I talked to quite a few people who don't pick up Buc-ee's. But usually you can pick it up for less than a buck and sell it for $10 to $15. In this case right here, 50-cent pickup at the bins, and it sold for $13 plus shipping. These are a pair of Chaco sandals, and I find a lot of these down at the Goodwill bins. Well, I don't find a lot of them. I see a lot of them because I typically don't pick a lot of them up. If they're in really good shape and they are in a really good size, I'll usually grab them. But there's a lot of Chacos at the bins that are they've been just completely run into the ground. In this case right here, these are fairly decent. They are heavier, so they probably cost closer to $3 maybe, 4 tops. But they sold pretty quick for 18 plus shipping. So got some more shoes. These are a pair of Merrell, really good tread on the bottoms. Found these down at the Goodwill bins they're probably $3. And initially when I picked these up, they were really dirty, but I figured I could take them home, spot clean them, put them in the washing machine, and they came pretty clean for the most part, and they sold under a month for 30 plus shipping. So this is a Chicago Blackhawks hockey jersey. It's from Patrick Kane. I see this jersey a lot here in Tennessee. Chicago's only about, I think it's like a 6.5 hour drive north of us, and so you see a lot of Blackhawk stuff. This one has the Winter Classic 2017 St. Louis patch, but it did have some notable flaws. It had not a ton of snags, but at least a handful of them that I pointed out, and it did have a couple of stains that I couldn't get out. I can't find them on here. Here's another snag. But anyway, I put that in the description, and it didn't sell for as much as it would have if it didn't have those small flaws. But I still got 30 plus shipping out of this, and I found it down at the bins. It probably cost right around $2. All right, so one customer service item today, and it's a return for this. If I can get it off my arm, it's a return for this Adidas. It's just an Originals hoodie or sweatshirt, but it was returned because the buyer said that this wasn't the correct model for what the item was listed for on eBay, which is absolutely false. Adidas and Nike, probably 2 of the easiest brands to list and list correctly, because they have style codes behind the fabric tag. So you can easily type that into Google or even on eBay, and it'll populate what the item actually is. So I reached out to the buyer and I told him, I don't have any problem accepting the return, but the reason that you are stating is actually false, because I think this was opened as an item, not as described. And of course, they ghosted me, never responded. And I've been getting a lot of situations like this in the last 2 weeks. I think seems like every case someone opens for a return is a fictitious item not described. And I think it's because in my reselling career, I've never offered free returns. So I'm thinking there's just a lot of stuff going on in the world, especially in the economy. People are just trying to figure out ways to maximize their dollars, ways to not lose money. And so I get it. I mean, it could be a tough time out there. It may be a tough time out there. But so I think what I'm going to do in my business, I'm going to finally pivot into offering free returns, because it's something that I've thought about but never really dove into. But I think this is something that I need to look into and make some changes for, because I think in the course of just the last 2 weeks, I think I've had just at least 4 or 5 just off the wall items not as described. And if one comes in and it's granted, I mean, I'll own up to it. That's all fine. But a lot of the ones that, like, for instance, I had one this morning that was for a similar reason, that the item was not described because they thought that the shorts were boys instead of men, which is absolutely false. It was some Nike, just some compression shorts. Again, super easy brand to figure out what the item is because there's a style code right behind the fabric tag. But just kind of wanted to share that. All right, so this is a notable find from the Goodwill bins this week, and I found a lot of good stuff, but I'm pointing this one out because this is a new category for me. I think I was telling you guys a couple of months ago, vintage t-shirts is something that I'm trying to learn more of. Here is the tag, and it's single stitch lingo that would have been foreign even 3 or 4 years ago. I resold in Oregon for 8 years, but vintage t-shirts was something that I didn't really care a whole lot about. I've always been sneakers first, then like athletic wear, jerseys, but this is something that I want to continue to progress on. I've been finding at least 1 to 2 vintage t-shirts per week now, and this one don't sell for crazy money. It's just a 1998 national championship t-shirt from the Tennessee Volunteers. I think this happened the year after Peyton Manning got drafted to the Colts, but I've seen comps all the way starting at like 30 all the way up to like 70 or 80, so it doesn't sell for anything crazy, but it's probably old money to a lot of you guys watching, but vintage t-shirts, new money to me. So I've been mentioning a lot here lately about embroideries, about how usually you can pick up things with embroideries and make money when other people just kind of write it off as nothing. I've seen someone pick this one up on this particular day at the bins. It's just a North Face vest, it's a men's large, and they threw it back because it had this embroidery, Arc Invest. And usually now anything that has an embroidery, if it's Patagonia, North Face, or even Nike, I'll pick it up and look it up just to be sure, because usually I'm at the bins 7-8 hours, so why not? In this case, I noticed that there were a couple of sales for Arc Invest, so I picked it up and it sold pretty quick, under probably 30 or 45 days for $25 plus shipping. All right, so this is another one of those best sellers. It's a Tractor Supply Company vest. Anything from Tractor Supply Company is a pickup for me. T-shirts, polos, vests, jackets. Usually you can find it at the bins and for not a lot of money, and usually not a lot of competition. And vests usually sell for 20. I found some of the jackets that I've sold for right around 30. And again, not a lot of people picking these up. This one probably cost, let's just say $2. It sold for 20 plus shipping. All right, so this is another vintage t-shirt. I found this one down at the Goodwill bins probably 60 to 90 days ago. And like I was saying about the Tennessee Volunteer vintage tee 3, 4, 5 years ago, wouldn't have even thought twice to even pick this one up. This is a Newgrass Revival. I think it's just a band. Here is the tag, made in USA. I had this one initially listed super high, and there were just really no real takers at the price that I had it listed at. And it's single stitch down here at the bottom. But anyway, finally got someone to pick this one up, and I think it was picked up for $25 plus shipping. Alright y'all, so I think this is where I am going to cut the video off at. I got a pretty busy morning, and usually the things that I can't get accomplished in the morning, I can flex that into the little evening window right before we go to dinner. But tonight we're taking the kids out to dinner, so that window is gone, so I need a little bit more time, need to work a little bit more swiftly so I can get everything done. So I appreciate you guys for coming along with me. If you got anything out of the video, like it, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch y'all right back here on the next one. Succeed.